You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in our friend Patrick Carver, digital marketing entrepreneur, best known as the founder and CEO of Constellation Marketing, a niche agency specializing in law firm marketing. Patrick, how's it going?
It is good. How are you doing, man?
Good, man. It's great to finally get you on. I will say, you're probably one of the first digital marketing companies that we as Lawyer Stories talk to, and I definitely through the years understand it, I think, a little bit better what you do. Not all the technicalities, but we want to just thank you for your support, and Constellation Marketing's always been there. We always appreciate you guys, so thanks for your support throughout these few years.
For sure, man. And it's I think when we first started talking, you'd done 10 of these or something, something. Yeah. But just to see how far you've taken it is awesome. So respect.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man. So fun fact about Patrick, you're from Missouri. That's awesome, man. What part of Missouri, and what was it like growing up on the farm there or whatever?
Yeah, I appreciate the kindness there, making Missouri sound interesting. But so I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, and there's two things we're known for. It's the headquarters of Bass Pro Shops, and it's also the home of Brad Pitt. So really, those are, we got a couple other odd facts, but that's generally what folks know us for.
What about the Simpsons? Is that they're from Springfield, but we never knew which Springfield, right?
Yeah,
I remember the Springfield. You might be too young, probably.
No. I know it, and my I'm not a huge, I'm not a diehard. I like the Simpsons, but I'm not a diehard fan or anything. But my contention is, I think they've revealed it at some point, but if not, I'll still go with my contention, which is, they try to make it about a nondescript town in the middle of America. Look on a map, it's Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, right there you go. I'm not I liked it when I was a kid, but a lot of people got back into it. Not really me so much. Tell us how you discovered the niche. I know we had a brief talk once about, and something that kind of piqued my interest about what you're doing is that your dad is a criminal defense attorney in Missouri still, and you kind of went the marketing route. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I was kind of bouncing around after college with some software companies and trying to start stuff on my own, and didn't really find anything that I really loved. And so while I was working at this other company, I started learning about SEO and got really fascinated with it. I'd been building websites since I was 14, but I was just kind of doing that, for fun.
Yeah.
And so, while I was doing SEO, I would, talk to my dad about it. And he had a company, one of the big marketing companies working for him, and he would just send me these reports every month, and he's like, is this good? Do I, am I getting my money's worth? Just not really knowing kind of what he was looking at, but knew he needed to do something, right, to kind of stay ahead of it. And he knew, things were changing from everybody putting ads in the phone book, and knew he needed to go digital. And so long story short, I ended up working on it and installed analytics and did a bunch of stuff, figured out that basically, he was paying a bunch of money every month and not getting anything in return. And the only business he was getting was because, people Googling his name. And so he wasn't getting out there for people who didn't already know him. And so I ended up he was nice enough to, kind of let me, test what I was doing on him. That's awesome. And then after the first year, they'd added $300,000 in, new business. And so he was super happy. And as a result of that, some of his friends asked me to do work for them, and
Wow.
so I was doing that. I was moonlighting at my other job doing this, and then I got to the point where I had like 5, 6 clients, and all kind of similar story. That they just like weren't getting much value
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
marketing, and I think the biggest thing too is just like the trust factor that it was like I was recommended by someone who'd actually used it. So that's kind of what I guess led to me catching on in the first bit.
Yeah, that's amazing. So did you start with SEO with your dad, like his website? Is that what you did?
Yeah, primarily, right. And
Okay.
so I worked on his website and set him up with a website, and then we started doing SEO, and so we were like targeting, he's in Springfield, Missouri, so we were targeting like criminal defense lawyer, Springfield, Missouri,
Yep.
DUI, or
Yep.
all of that stuff. And so it was definitely a learning on the job type of
So
process, but
yeah,
yeah.
along the way, were you ever like, I'm going to go to law school, or you were just like, I like the SEO stuff, like I'm going to stick to that.
Yeah, I mean, so during like my post-college, pre-starting my business was like pretty rocky, just to be candid. And like I'd had a small business that I'd ran in college, and then I got out and I thought I was going to make, the next Facebook, and it was like I just got kind of my, ass kicked. And so there was a point during that time that I was like, man, maybe I should just go to law school, because
Yeah, yeah,
I competed in debate in high school and won a
right.
national championship. And so I was like,
Wow, really?
okay, I can, I like the argumentation, and I like doing all that stuff, but I don't know. It's and I of course like, respect what my dad does. And I've always enjoyed like learning about what he does, but it just kind of didn't speak to me. I always have, I was like the kid, always wanted to do like garage sales and car washes, and
Oh,
and
that's awesome. Okay,
stuff
yeah,
like that. So I feel like it wasn't like, I guess, creative enough for me, or so, there was something kind of missing for me with it. And so it took me a while, after college, but then once I kind of like um got into this and had some repeatable results with other folks, not just
right.
like my dad, who's gonna like always kind of be happy with it. It started like that's really when I was like, okay, this feels good, right? This
Right,
fits
right,
and feels like something that I'm good at, and I'm
right.
actually like helping people, and solving a real need.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, like, what's it like to start off with like your dad's firm and then have like his colleagues say, "Hey, Patrick, can you help us?" And then all of a sudden you're like, "I might need to hire somebody." And then like, what? So, from an entrepreneurial perspective, like, when do you know it's time, like, to, you know, to move on and to hire somebody and to grow it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I'll tell you the opposite of it. Like when I got out of college, I was just hell bent on the idea that like I was just going to come up with an idea, and it was going to come to fruition, right? I'm just going to kind of dream up a business idea and go do it. And so that's kind of where I put all my eggs in the basket. And I quickly learned that like I didn't know a lot, right? And it was really, really hard to just kind of develop that. And so the biggest difference after a while, when I started doing this, for my dad, kind of the thing I said to myself was like, it has to be, I have to have enough business and recognize it as like a real need, and not the other way around, right? Where I'm just kind of coming up with this idea and saying, okay, I have a business now. And instead it was like, I wanted to get to enough people doing it at night, doing it on the weekends, to where, it wasn't that big of a leap to say, hey, could I get 2 more clients, right? And that
Yeah,
would give me more income than I was making before. But I mean, it was, I mean, it's like, I think it's the same for, um, any law firm owner, right? Or anyone who has like a side hustle, or like this or anything. It's like, it's a leap of faith, and you kind of take some steps forward and then go back. And
right.
there's kind of never really a right time to totally jump in. But I think like everybody else, I'm just trying to find like, you try to find like a balance of doing a good like giving a good service like law firms and then growing at the same time. And, and it's a lot, but I mean, it's also, very rewarding, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. And so you're based out of Atlanta because you went to college in Atlanta. We just spoke. So
Yes,
you
sir.
sort of just, so you're helping people where? All over the place?
Yeah. I mean, we do have a good contingent out of Atlanta or just
Okay.
Georgia because, a lot of our business is recommendations and referrals. It's just, there's an enormous number of people out there. And so I think referrals and recommendations are, a great source of business for us,
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've helped, folks in Australia. We have a client in Uganda. We've got people
Awesome.
in Canada, and so it's kind of predominantly in the U.S. But we do have, I would say Canada then, but that's pretty much the spread.
Nice. So tell us about Constellation Marketing. Tell us what you offer.
Yeah, I mean, so on paper, we're kind of, we're very similar to a lot of law firm agencies out there, right? Marketing agencies. We do websites, SEO, advertising, and then to a lesser extent, we do like email marketing, social, uh, chat bots, like just some different things that kind of help
So
fit it in. And
you're doing social now?
yeah, we do it, but kind of our core thought process and strategies are around search engines. So it's our belief that and data backs this up for us over 10 years that the highest value leads for law firms are going to be people who get out their phone or on their computer and they search, criminal lawyer near me or accident lawyer, Tupelo, stuff like that. Those people are well positioned because they're actually out there looking for something. And so that's why we focus primarily on getting our clients in those spots, right, where those activities are happening.
Right.
So that's predominantly SEO and advertising as well. And now we're really doing we're spending a ton of time investigating and learning about AI and
AI.
how basically optimizing our clients now for the next generation of
Right.
stuff, which I think is it's not coming, it's not today, but I think in the very near future you're going to have a lot of people go into Chat GPT, go into Perplexity to get those answers. So but the biggest, I mean, I would say the biggest kind of thing about us that I think I like to talk about is just our focus on return on investment for the clients. And that's where I feel like we really are very distinct compared to, a lot of marketing agencies out there. And we really try to ensure that you put $1 in and you get two out, and we're accountable for that on a monthly basis. And I think that's why we have such a high retention rate.
Wow, that's right. Yeah, you talk about retention being very important. Obviously, it should be to any business, but tell me about how that works, the whole ROI thing, how you put $1 in, you get two out.
Yeah, so I think most lawyers can probably identify with this story or situation where they get introduced to somebody or they get an email and it's like, hey, do you want 20 new cases of the best type this next month? And you're like, of course, right? That sounds fantastic. And so
Right.
you give over a big check, and then you kind of don't hear from them again, or you hear from them in a couple months and it's like, oh, it just takes time, it just takes
Yeah.
time, hold on. And so you get you kind of do your part, you're patient, and then 9 months or a year, or in a lot of cases I see it even with some of these larger established companies that I think you probably know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
They'll lock you in with a 2 or 3 year contract, and so by the
Really?
time you
What
get,
companies are those, Patrick? No, I'm just kidding. All right. No, I get
I
it.
don't.
Go.
I'm not looking for any cease and desists
I'm just kidding
after
with you.
this.
Yeah. So they'll lock you in a long contract. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so like you know, then you have this feeling at some point. It's like it hits the fan, right? And it's like I've put in all this money, and my bank account is not any bigger, right? My case volume has gone up. And so
Right.
this is like the, number one conversation I have with everybody is they're coming in because it's like they've been burned or they just haven't had a successful time. And so like it didn't come to me, immediately, but as we've evolved or grown, my kind of foundational belief is like, look, if we're not getting you a return on investment, you're going to leave at some point. And so we try to set this up so that when we have a client come on, we have really great tracking software so that we can capture the source of every single lead. And then we will reconcile that with your actual client list at the end of the month. And so that way we can put apples to apples and actually show you, without any doubt that, here are the 6 cases we got you last month. Right.
Wow.
And the case value of those is $60,000 and you paid us 2,000 or 5, whatever that number is. And so it's not perfect. There's challenges to it, but like that's where our heart is, right? And
Wow.
what we try to do with all of our clients. And and I know some of the other like agencies you've had on your podcast, and like they do great work. I know, some of them personally. And so I would say like getting somebody like that, that I've seen on your podcast or us, is 100 times better than one of the big box marketing companies, or, kind of like 95% of the people out there who aren't, just don't have that mindset, right? It's kind of like, I hope it works out, but they're more focused on their own revenue than yours.
Yeah. So how do you know, like when the case comes in, like how do you know what the case is like worth, like to match that up to like, okay, they gave us 2,000 and then they got a $60,000 case or whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, the clients will help us out with that. I mean, we can do, we've accumulated enough data over 10 years that we know roughly like what a DUI is, is going to be, is like what the market rate is for a DUI. And granted, like it's going to be different in Missouri versus Boston or different things like that. But more or less, we have a decent idea of what that's worth. And some of the more like advanced law firm groups are, they're using really good CRM software. So they track those cases all the way through to the end to where they'll give us, a sheet back that's like, hey, that was a $500,000, personal injury case, or, I mean, and granted, I'm using like PI, which is great, but it works the same way with like bankruptcies and, smaller stuff like that. So, we try to find like a proportional, the kind of the right marketing fit, no matter where you are. Right. So if adding a couple new cases at $1,000 or $2,000 a month is where you want to be, like, we have plans for that. So it's not just the people who are spending $20,000 a month or, something like that.
That's great. So what is your retention rate and how does that like, I mean, I think I know what it is, but I want to hear what you tell us and kind of describe it to us a little bit.
Sure. So we looked at this recently over all of 2024, and our average monthly retention rate was 98.7.
Wow.
So on a monthly basis, we have like 85 clients now. We're losing like 1-2 clients, and and it fluctuates. And like we lost, I think, 3 clients last month, which I'm like not happy about at all. But for the most part, we keep folks multi-year, and and we've had a bunch of clients for 6, 7, 8 years, and so that's our goal. And we try to lose. I mean, we don't ever like losing a client, but we try to keep it below like 1% per month, basically.
They're probably just retired. So they don't need
of course. Of course. No, I mean, I mean, there's been some, we've made mistakes. There's others where made people $500,000 in a year, and they're gone, and it's like, what, like, why, we got a good thing going. So I mean, sometimes it just, I think people want like, they think, kind of grass is greener, and I mean, and we're not immune to making mistakes. I mean, we have certainly, but I think you look at the like totality of the track record is what I would tell folks.
So what is your team doing for you as far as SEO? Like they get a website.
Yeah.
Like tell us the process. So like I'm a new client, I'm a prospective law firm. Hey,
Yeah.
hey Patrick, I need your services, man. I need to, get some new cases. What do we need to do?
Well, you need to write the check first,
Yeah.
obviously. No, no. I mean, so it kind of depends on where you're coming from. Like, if you were going to start, the Benny Gold PI, Premier PI
Thought about it.
practice,
Yeah.
there you go. If you were starting from scratch, that's kind of a different strategy than say if you've had a website for 15 years and you're pretty
Right.
well established and stuff like that. But generally speaking, the to-dos are effectively the same. You need to do really two things, which is based on Google's algorithm. And it's always focused on these two core things, which is putting out comprehensive, authoritative content, and then building authority on the internet through link building. And so the idea is that your website needs to have a lot of content so that you can be considered a topical authority. So if we're talking about PI in Chicago, right? You should have articles and material about kind of every aspect of personal injury law in Chicago, right? So think about each of the practice areas. Think about the accident rates in Chicago. Like
Right.
you kind of think about it like a radius, right? Of right in the middle is the actually the auto accident lawyer of Chicago, but and kind of everything else is like things that people could use or find relevant to make it a decision. And then the other part of it is um, Google's using their link system, and so what you need to do is show up on other sites on the internet. So that's
Right.
business directories, like for instance, if we link to you from our website and highlight a lawyer stories episode, you're going to get a link, and Google's now going to start to get inferential information about how we're connected and that we both work on law and and have you in there. And so generally those are the two things that we're going to work on and
Yep.
build for you over
Right.
time. And then there's a bunch of smaller things that go into that, but I won't bore you.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, like we started doing
Yeah.
for our podcast guests, we started doing a digital badge. So like we have
Yeah.
this cool, like sleek looking digital badge that we send to our guests after when they've been featured, and they could put that on their website and then link back to us, right? That's sort of
Yeah.
like that's the idea of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm learning a little bit as I go.
There you
But
go. And
yeah,
you've got a good platform. I mean, to take advantage of SEO because you're building all these great connections and
yeah,
just kind of something that you might not even think about. But the badge is a great idea because then you can get a link back to your website, and kind of take advantage of this network you built
yeah.
by getting cited on these other websites,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
what I'm
free.
trying to do. I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people like it. The lawyers are so busy, man. It's hard. Like, hey, here's a badge. Go get on your way. It'll take a month or 2 months. You got to keep kind of keeping after them a little bit, but that's all right.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's I've been down that road
you
before,
too. All
so
right. I don't feel alone then. That's awesome. So, and we were talking about ROI, and some companies, some businesses will make you get into like a 2, 3 year contract, but with you guys, I think it's a little different. Why don't you tell us what a contract's like with you, with Constellation?
yeah, so we've always done month to month, and at first it was just I just didn't want to set up a contract and pay a lawyer to do it, but you know the
Yeah.
more as I continue to have the business, I really like it because I've always tried to like I always kind of pitch us as like, hey, we're very pro attorney because I didn't think like the arrangement my dad had was fair, right? That
Right.
you were locked in for like 2 years, and regardless of their performance, you couldn't get out. And they'll sue you. I mean, they'll take you to court on it as well. And it's not a nice process. And so I always, kind of try to position us as, well, what would I do if it was my dad, right? Like, what would I do? What are the terms I would
Yeah.
give him? And what can we do to, like, give lawyers confidence that, we're going to be like somebody you can trust. We want to earn the business every month. And yeah, I mean, it causes complications sometimes, and we, lose people that haven't, given us enough time to, like,
Right.
do the SEO work and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think it's a powerful way to kind of keep that equilibrium fair between us and the people we service.
When did you start? Like, what year did you start with your dad? And has he seen like sort of a market increase? I'm assuming you're still doing work for him.
Yeah, kind of. It's like, I started doing this in 2005.
Yeah. Wow.
And no, I take that back. 2015 is when I officially started it.
Okay.
I've been
I was like,
building
no way,
websites.
man. That would put
Yeah,
you
yeah, no,
almost
no, no.
my
I
age.
was
I
like,
was like, I don't
yeah,
think so, brother.
obviously, you see why I didn't go into mathematics. So, he's basically, I worked for him for like 5, 6 years, and then he changed. A partnership ended, and so now he's working with another firm, and so we're doing work for that firm now with him. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, while we were working together, we were adding a couple 100,000 each year
Wow.
in new attributable business for
That's
them.
awesome.
But yeah.
And so you were talking, going back to Constellation Marketing's offerings. We talked about the website. What's it like to have a website built with you guys? Do you do design? Do you do all that stuff? Like, do people submit it to you and then you kind of just like take off with their vision type of thing?
Yeah, we have a couple options. So we have like a kind of more templated option that you can go and, like, look at other ones and get inspiration, or we can do a completely custom job where we have designers and we can build it from the ground up. So it's kind of like, choose your own adventure. We have our middle plan has where we do like ads and SEO work. We include a free new website as part of that. And so that would be like a more templated website that we would use as a starting point. But we also, if you have like a vision, we can, we'll design a mock-up from scratch to do that. So
Yeah.
just in general, as far as like, the working relationship, we try to make it as seamless as possible and not give our clients a bunch of homework.
Yeah.
Because, to your point about, you ask them to do something, you're not going to hear back for 2 months. And it's like,
Right.
I
Right.
totally get it, because some months you're going to get, 5 referrals, right? And your workload just like shoots up, and you don't have time to go through and, like, make a bunch of decisions. And so we try to get a lot of that up front, and then only really come back when absolutely necessary, to get your opinion and review certain items. So
What
we really
about
try to,
updating a
yeah.
website with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, so part of the plan that we have, part of our like flat service fee includes like maintenance and any like updates you need. So if you like go get a new headshot, or you roll out a new Lawyer Stories logo or something like that, that's all included. So we just, like, again, back to the like attorney friendly terms. I just never wanted to nickel and dime about, hey, well, that's going to cost you $10 extra to
Right.
do this and do that. It's really, as much as I can, like an all-in-one flat fee with it. And then we cover hosting and maintenance. So a lot of that stuff is just, pain in the ass type
Yeah.
stuff for most law firm owners. And
Right.
so we handle all of that. So you just have one point of contact to manage all of your marketing stuff.
That's awesome. So you have a point of contact. Everybody can just, each person
Mhm.
has a point of contact.
Yeah, so we have a great it's like an account management team. We call
Yeah,
them,
that's
it's
part. Yeah.
client strategy is what we call our team. And yeah, I mean they're not only like they'll do the kind of like day-to-day stuff, like I mentioned, if you need to add things, add a partner, change, take somebody off, all that stuff. But really like
Yep.
we try to train them more to be strategists so that it's not just me who can like look at your performance and give you feedback about here's what we're doing and why we believe it's a good idea.
Right.
Here's how your ads performed. Here's why they performed a little bit less than the previous months, and give you that info so it's not just fully relying on me and you're not left to wonder about like why things are happening a certain way.
Right. Totally. So Constellation Marketing is ranked among the top legal marketing companies I've read. Number 8 in Design Rush's 2025 rankings. What does that sort of thing mean to you?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's probably in the realm of some of the somewhat dubious lawyer awards. To be
I
totally
won't name any of them either.
to be totally candid, but
Awesome.
I mean, it is true. Like there's lots of uh, law firm marketing companies out there I know who are like doing good amount of business, and and like I mentioned, some have been on this show. So um, we just try to do like the best we can and do right by our clients.
Yeah.
And so I'm not particularly concerned about being on like a best list or, anything like that. I really get, at one point I would have been, but as I've, I feel like gotten older, it's just like I'm more about, seeing reviews that we have, and we have like all 5-star reviews on Google.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We have a really great retention rate, and so that's really kind of my main measurement of like, are we doing
Sure.
good or
Yeah,
or
of
not?
course. What
Yeah.
about the items that you create, the firm's website? I mean, is that who owns that stuff?
Yeah, that's everything's owned by our clients. So all IP, related to like the content that we're writing for you. If we build you a new website and you leave after, 2 months, it's yours to keep, and that's not financially always a smart decision for us, or it's never if somebody leaves after a month, but like usually we're finding, if you get through like sales calls with me and everything, like, we're looking to build relationships. And for them, I mean, I can't think of one time that's happened where, somebody just left. But yeah, again, a lot of it, I mean, I think you're probably picking up a theme here. It's like, like a childhood, trauma that like shaped all of this. But it's like truly, it all goes back to like my dad's relationship with,
Yeah.
with these marketing people, because it was like, he was paying him a bunch of money, and
Yeah.
then the day the contract ends, it's like, okay, great, we're gonna take all your entire website back, and and just kind of like leave you out there. And so, I mean, I get it, I get why they do it, but it's
Do you want to
it's
shout
just
that particular firm out? Like, was that somebody who? I'm just kidding. But
Bob at over at Schmein Law. No,
at where? Schmeil. Really? All
just
right.
playing.
Okay. No, he's kidding. There's nothing like that out there. So Patrick, you were an entrepreneur. I mean, your dad obviously did he have his own firm for a while?
Yeah. I
And
mean, so
then
he's primarily had his own firm
yeah.
for 40 years, and only recently is now a hired gun.
So you had a like a debate business, right? Like the
Yeah.
debate. What was that? That well, first I want to get to asking you. Give me some entrepreneurial advice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what state you're in. I mean, I don't consider myself like an amazing entrepreneur or anything, but it's I think you just it's very cliche, but you just kind of have to like keep going. And I would say the biggest thing for me personally that maybe this will like resonate with some people out there is like, um, I'm a very like I have a lot of like stress and anxiety and so um whenever we like are maybe going to lose a client or stuff like that, it can be really stressful.
Yeah.
And so I think on one hand it's like, okay, well, that helps us kind of like have high standards, really, try to do our best and treat clients. But I think the thing I would like I try to get through more to myself is like, like mistakes are going to happen. Like we're going to get, some clients are just not a good fit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's okay. And it's, we're going to live to fight another day. And so
Right.
I think, lawyers are in super high stress situations too. And, it can be really hard to like disassociate from, having like your value tied up in the work you're doing. And so I would, and it's a work in progress, but I think having a little bit of that like separation between, hey, I can work hard, but my value is not tied up in that. And like at the end of the day, I'm not going to feel I'm not going to carry it if I had a bad day at work, all through the night, through the weekend
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff
tough.
like
I
that.
hear that.
So
Yeah. What about the types of firms you're working with? Not practice type, because I'm sure you do all the practice types, but do you prefer
yeah.
like smaller solo firms, big firms, medium for all, or all of them basically?
Yeah, I mean, I like all of them. They have unique challenges though, right? And so it's I don't know. I like all of them because it's they're all kind of unique. On the smaller end, it's fun because you get to just talk with the decision maker right
Yep.
there, right? And you can get things done, and I think you can move really quickly. And then as you get up a little bit, then you start having, okay, you've got to, talk to our marketing team or
Right. Right.
the lawyers who like own the marketing in our firm, and we have to make decisions from, three or four people have to sign off and stuff like that. So anytime we get into like, more of like a kind of a bureaucracy like that, I don't like it.
Kind of
And
difficult. Yeah.
I think that's the reason why I like dipped out of a more corporate job to do this, is because I was just like, I was getting on, we went through like the company I was at went through a merger, and it was like I would put an idea forward and it would get routed to like 15 people,
Yeah.
who was like,
Um,
oh, we gotta CC Deb on this and see what,
yeah.
and I was just like, this is like not for me.
Deb
So,
doesn't need to know
uh,
about that, man.
I mean, not everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. That's awesome. Plus, you got an entrepreneurial spirit, so congrats on your success. So,
Thanks, man.
um, what did we? Oh, so tell us. You've been a lawyer stories person. Part of this community for a while. Tell us if you have a special thing that you're offering the lawyer stories community.
Yeah, for sure. So we were really excited to, see you creating the community, and so we want to be a part of that. Want to be a fixture in that community, and so we're offering free website hosting to all Lawyer Stories community members. So it's not a huge amount of money to get a website host, but I think big thing is like we'll take care of it for you. We have really great infrastructure and technology needs, and basically you always have a person you can contact to help answer questions about the site, do security on it, and stuff like that. So I
That's
think it could
awesome.
be a nice addition for anybody who's signing up for your community. And then we do have some other stuff planned throughout the year, doing some like website giveaways and stuff like that. So more things to come for sure.
That's awesome. Thanks a lot, Patrick. I appreciate it. Did we leave anything out that you wanted to touch on tonight?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, just really, appreciate the opportunity and the, getting to know you
Yeah, definitely.
and, and seeing what you've built. Because I think it's awesome, and just urge you to keep going and
Thanks, man. Yeah.
take it all the way.
I'm trying, taking it all the way. I don't know what that means yet, man, but I'm going with it. And you got to get out to an event at some point, you know?
I will.
At some
Absolutely.
point.
When are you going to do the Springfield, Missouri
that'd
event?
be sweet. I'd love to go to Missouri or something like that.
You could host it at Bass Pro. It would be phenomenal.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll
We
see.
could all get those trendy Bass Pro hats, and I know nothing
Exactly.
about fishing.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right, Patrick Carver, Constellation Marketing. Thanks for being a part of everything and all your support, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
For sure, man.
All right, stay right there. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in wherever you are in the world today. Enjoy yourselves. Cheers.